Let us now welcome in a man who is no stranger to an NBA Finals. The gentleman here earlier, Robert, we're talking about, hey, you never know when you're going to get to a Finals. It took Chris Paul 16 years to get here. Guess what? Robert Horry was here and won it 7 times. Welcome, of course, to the show, Robert. So happy to have you today.
Thanks for having me. I wish I could be in Phoenix with you guys, but I'm in the studio by myself enjoying this moment, but I think I know why I'm not in Phoenix.
Well, we'll get to your history against the Phoenix Suns shortly. Don't worry, that will be addressed on today's show. But I do want to get to Adam Silver and the commissioner's comments last night, guys. He gave his sort of annual Game 1 of the Finals address, and among the questions he got was about the play-in tournament, whether it was here to stay after working first in the bubble, kind of an emergency triage situation, and then this year in that COVID-shortened season. Take a listen to what Adam said.
It's my expectation that we'll continue it for next season. We both, of course, need agreement from our teams and the Players Association. And I know, Michelle Roberts doesn't have an easy job. She has 450 players. Some maybe have louder voices than others at the table. But again, I think ultimately, although there were critics, not just LeBron, but others who weren't in favor of it, and maybe some teams who weren't thrilled with it, I think overall it was very positive for the league and the players. I mean, certainly there's been some suggestions about some tweaks we should consider. It's my expectation that it'll continue for next season.
So, Robert, you were right in the thick of this because the other broadcast team you work with locally in L.A., the Lakers, that Lakers squad, was in the play-in tournament. So you got to see it up close. Do you think it was a success this past year? Are you happy that it seems like it's going to stay?
I'm happy for the fans, but personally, I'm not a fan of it because I hate when a team works so hard to get in that 8th spot. The next thing you know, you have to play one game, you have a bad game, you lose that game, then you got to play another game, and you have another bad game, you lose that game. So I'm thinking like Steph Curry. We missed a golden opportunity to see a guy who should have been MVP play in the playoffs, do some things that's extraordinary. But because they didn't win, because they fought so hard to get to that 8th seed, they're not in the playoff. So we missed that. And there's no disrespect to Ja Morant because he's an up and rising star. He's trying to get his foot in the door so people can know who he is. But Steph has both feet in the door. He's in the building. We know who he is. And I wanted to see that because this guy could have did something. Who knows? He could have got to the second round and upset Utah. So that's why I'm not a fan of the play-in.
Robert and I had this very discussion on camera before the play-in. And really what I learned from his, that's a persuasive case you can't argue that he just made. But what I learned is there are 2 separate cases here that are not going to intersect. Like, going into this, Robert had convinced me, because everything he said I agree with. And then I watched it. And I was like, oh, my God, this is so exciting, the drama and the pressure. So if I was playing, I would not want any part of this. But as somebody just watching it and observing it, I can't wait to get in front of the TV with the popcorn. Or if I'm there in person, which I hopefully going forward with no pandemic, we can see. It's so exciting to watch. So I just think there's a difference of opinion, which is never, again, not going to overlap or intersect.
Completely understand where Rob is coming from as a player fighting. I've been on the team that's at 8th or 7th seed, and I would have been mad if we got knocked out in a play-in game for the situation. But from a fan's perspective, because I'm a fan now, I loved it. It kept the enthusiasm. It kick-started the playoffs, and viewership was off the charts. And, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. But I will say this. We need to start talking to players more and listening to players more because we're also hearing that they could do a mid-season tournament, which I don't think is a good idea at all. You have to get these guys some rest. You have to listen to them because the game is so much different now than it was when I played, definitely when Rob played. So the wear and tear on these guys' bodies is different. We saw a lot of injuries, and, this kind of stuff can add to it. So, again, I love it from a fan standpoint. I know the fans love it from a player standpoint. I want to know what they think, and you've heard what they think, and they don't really like it.
But can I add something, though?
Please, Robert.
The interesting thing is we lucked up this year. We had Steph Curry, Ja Morant. We had 4 teams without injuries, probably been top 4. Think about that. We lucked up. Will we be like this next season where the top guys are hurt and they're on I won't say sorry team, but they failed they fell to a lower seed. So will we have that next season? That's my problem with the play-in tournament.
That is how a man with 7 rings talks.
Yes.
He can just say, oh, yeah, that team's sorry. I'm just going to be straight with all of you. I will say also as a fan, the idea that it created 3 different levels of competition and that kind of dead part toward the end of the regular season that sometimes feels, just a slog to get through.
No tanking. Tanking. People were trying to they thought they could get in.
Okay, we had a little tiny bit of tanking.
Okay, but less than usual.
Houston, Oklahoma City. But I will say this, that you had the competition at the top for those top seeds, right? Like you always have. You had that competition at the 6th spot, right? Don't get in the play-in tournament. And then even the 9 or 10 teams, right? I love seeing the Wizards be involved in this, and they were a team that wouldn't be in the playoff bracket if they hadn't been. So it was nice to see all of that. We will find out.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.